Hi, I'm Karen Allen, author of the Haunted Found Treasure series on Amazon, and this is Karen's Corner, episode 10. We're reading chapter 10 called Salt and Silence. The book is book 1 in my series called Buttons the Bear Whispers, about a haunted teddy bear. Okay, so let's dig in. Maggie barely spoke a word the next morning. She waited until Jean took the kids to the grocery store before making her move. Her phone was still open to the Whisper Trail site, and she'd spent hours reading everything she could about haunted objects, spirit attachments, and protective rituals. Most of it sounded ridiculous, but one thing came up over and over again: salt. According to dozens of entries, salt disrupted energy. It could repel or even trap certain entities. It was a barrier, a purifier. She didn't know if it would work, but she had to try. She climbed up into the attic with an old ceramic mixing bowl in one hand and a box of sea salt in the other. Her footsteps creaked across the wooden beams as she made her way to the far wall where she'd shoved the bear after the last incident. Buttons sat just as she'd left him, but his head was tilted now slightly, like he was listening. Maggie's stomach twisted. She set the bowl down and poured a thick layer of salt inside, then reached out slowly and lifted Buttons with shaking hands. His fur felt damp, clammier than before, like he'd soaked up the cold air around him. She placed him gently in the bowl. Then she poured the salt over him until only his head and button eyes peeked through the pale grains. "You are not welcome here," she whispered. "You will leave my son alone." The attic creaked. She stayed still. "You are not his friend. You are not family. You are not real." A gust of cold air brushed the back of her neck, even though the attic window was sealed shut. "You don't belong to anyone." The light bulb above her flickered once, then again, but she didn't move. She poured a final line of salt in a circle around the bowl and stepped back, and then she closed the attic door. That night, the house was still. Freddie didn't toss and turn. He didn't whisper in his sleep. Chloe didn't wake up crying like she had the night before. Maggie sat in the hallway with a pillow and a blanket, half expecting something to slam open or come crawling down the stairs, but nothing happened. At 2 a.m., she checked the attic. The bowl was still there, so was the bear. She left the light on and closed the door gently. The next morning, Maggie let herself believe it had worked. She made pancakes, played a board game with Chloe, read Freddie his favorite story twice without his eyes drifting toward the closet. There was laughter again. Real, light laughter she hadn't heard in days. Even Jean noticed. "Whatever cloud was hanging over this house," she said, "I think it finally passed." Maggie didn't respond. She just nodded, silently praying it was true. That evening, she packed the salt-covered bear into a garbage bag, sealed it with duct tape, and placed it inside an old paint can from the garage. Then she drove 20 miles out of town and dumped it into a county trash bin behind a gas station. Gone. Gone for good. That night, Maggie finally slept, deeply, peacefully, until 4:13 a.m. She awoke to the sound of scratching, faint rhythmic scratching. It was coming from the hallway. She grabbed her phone and crept to the door. There, etched into the wood outside her room, were 5 small lines, clawed, as if drawn by something with dull round tips. And sitting neatly beneath the marks was a drawing. It was Freddie and Chloe this time. They were in their beds. Maggie was nowhere in the picture, but the closet door in Freddie's room was wide open, and Buttons sat in the middle of the floor, surrounded by broken salt lines. And And that's the end of chapter 10. Next is chapter 11 tomorrow night. It's titled The Collector. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope to see you tomorrow.